Welcome into the Tickets Football Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! He's going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sorry about that. We're back at it here. A little bit of technical difficulties. Probably a sound way to start the post-game show after that game. Although it was a tale of two halves for Nebraska. Maybe we'll mess up the first half and then do good in the second half. Opposite of what Nebraska did tonight. Of course, it is. We'd like to welcome you guys in. You guys can talk. You can add into the show. You can talk. You can text. Start aiming text line 402-464-5685. We don't have a producer tonight, but we'll get to your phone calls if you call in on the Honda of Lincoln hotline 402-464-5685. Maybe just a little bit of patience there as you're ringing in doing that. Nebraska falls to 2-1 on the season, first blemish of the young season in a frustrating game, I think, for a lot of people. Because you just had your hopes up. Nebraska ends up losing 70-50, a game where they were at one point up 10, and it felt like it should have been more. Felt like that might come back to bite them, but I guess that part didn't really matter because of the second half debacle. So those few points maybe they should have gained in the first half doesn't really come into play in a 20-point loss. Ultimately, we can kind of run through the different numbers here as we go through it, but I want to get the initial thoughts from Husker Hall of Famer and longtime NBA vet Eric Strickland. Join us once again another year on the Basketball Postgame Show. First of all, thanks for that. And second of all, what'd you see tonight?
Well, got off to a good start, and some of the things that you saw and what we were hoping for is that they could just sustain any surges that St. John's was going to throw at them. I knew there was going to be probably some adrenaline dumps. You saw it in some of the early shots. Balls were a little strong. They didn't take advantage of a down start for the St. John's Storm. So that was a difficult thing to see. But what then I saw is a second half, and I knew that St. John's, Coach Mike was telling them a lot of wonderful things, and I was like, "Oh no, that's some good talk right there. That's some good information he's giving his players." And where he was talking about them making the extra plays, working the ball side to side, getting what they want. And one of the things that differentiates this Nebraska team from that St. John's team is that they have ball creators, meaning they have guys that can create their own space and get their own shots. That's some of the things that we saw in the second half. It gave them some open shots. Not that they did anything better. They just played better defense than we did with more aggression. They beat us to the 50-50 balls. And the other thing that we saw from this Husker team was a lot of standing around, both offensively and defensively. We'll get into more of that as we get into this segment. But there's just nothing you can do when you have 64 possessions, 10 less. Your turnovers, you wanted to try to keep them. I said if their turnovers got into 17 to 20, I knew they would be in trouble, and they were. They needed to be down where they St. John's was, the Red Storm, with 13. But they had a tremendous game from the big fella inside, and Soriano. He was a man. He was a man amongst boys, and Keita was not an answer. Gary was not an answer. There was no one that can do anything with him inside, and he dominated the paint.
Yeah, it was weird kind of watching that game play out. North St. John's, for what it's worth, this is, I think, the fourth year under Mike Anderson. They've had winning seasons the whole time. Still yet to break through to the NCAA tournament, but they're hoping this year. They've added a few guys. You can see the transfer portal. If you recognize Curbella there, the Andre Curbella, the Illinois transfer, he's been a thorn in Nebraska's side before under Brad Underwood. Now he's out there doing it with Mike Anderson. It seemed like at those guard positions, and Griesel really struggled to get anything going tonight. Yeah. But between him and Vandermill, and it wasn't just Corbello, but the guards of St. John's, they couldn't like face him straight up. And, they had trouble dribbling or getting by him. And in the first half, they could at times. But, between that and then the low post, like you said, it just kind of became obvious. Nebraska did not have the talent edge tonight. Nebraska was kind of facing a deficit there, I believe. And maybe it's not just overall talent. Maybe it's, again, kind of playing together. This is a young team as far as how long they've played together. They still kind of, we kind of expected them to grow throughout the season and into it. And maybe that's part of what's happened tonight. But I guess it does. It's not like I'm going out on a limb here. It looked like a mismatch by the end, and it looked like a mismatch on the scoreboard, 50-23 in the second half.
Yeah, that's that's absolutely crazy. I mean, that's what the defense does for them. That's what you knew they were going to do. I don't think we took advantage of our size. The other aspect of what we didn't do, and that's got to change, because, like I said, Corbello, he can create space. We saw what Mathis is capable of, and they just seem to get open shots at the second half. It seems like the communication broke down. It seems like the body language was not there. It seems like the energy. And again, I'm watching Tamanaga, and I'm watching shots go up, and I'm watching Wilcher, and I'm watching these guys as the ball is going up, and the defense in Kita or somebody's going over to help, as they should. That's what the defense is supposed to do. And the next guy is not coming and cracking down on that big man. That backside guy standing there watching when he should be going to put in a body. I don't care what size you are, 6'1", 6'2", 5'2". I don't care. That's your job. Your job is to get down there, put a body on that guy, get some help, or double team a guy. And that way you can alleviate the opportunity on the weak side to get bounds. That's what they didn't do. It's very disappointing to me, but you're absolutely right. The intensity, the pressure, and you cannot, if you don't have guys that can break down the pressure and create that space and get into the paint and find somebody, which they couldn't beat anybody tonight, then you have to put bodies on people. You have to set freaking screens. Yeah. You've got to make sure that when a guy passes you, he's catching a body. And that's it, period. There wasn't no strong back. There was early on, there was, but they weren't fine. It was like they were nervous. And as Dion Pryor said on the stream, he says, now that we are exposed, it's going to be a struggle. If they don't do those things that I just said, putting bodies on guys, setting up guys, getting good cuts, and reading off of the screens, where do I curl here? Do I fly out here? What am I going to do? How am I going to help my next guy get open? If they don't do that, they're going to struggle, because they just don't have that. They saw it late. Griesel gets down in the post. Yeah. Gets a good space, takes advantage of. They didn't do any of that. Now, I don't know if that wasn't part of the game plan today, but if you're going to get pressure, feed somebody, run some sets, then you create double team opportunities, or you score. We just didn't do things. We played into their hands. Let me just say that.
Yeah, and it was weird too, because this is Mike Anderson basketball. This is basically what Fred Hoiberg brought, was just as much possessions as you get, as much points as you can get, and it was really, and I'll keep saying this throughout the night, this is what my headline would be, a tale of two halves, because Nebraska, it was kind of at Nebraska's pace. It was, they were playing good defense. They held St. John's, who averages 90 points, to 20 points in the first half. Not only that, this is a 40% three-point shooting team.
Right.
They were 0 for 10 in the first half.
Right.
They were missing bunnies, which I don't know how much that was of Nebraska and just kind of St. John's getting going, but Nebraska was rebounding. And it just kind of it was definitely Nebraska's flow in the first half. And, you kind of thought, well, Nebraska hasn't gotten their leading scorer going. So maybe there's some things that can kind of, Nebraska can build on in the second half. And they just couldn't get a point coming out of the second half. And St. John's started to get going. And St. John's seems to be, and it's either St. John's or it's Mike Anderson. Again, both those, that kind of St. John's historically and Mike Anderson, both, if they get going, they're bound to put 15-0 runs together.
He comes from that Nolan Richardson pedigree. Yeah. That's what 40 minutes of hell. That's the way that they played at Arkansas. He comes from that.
Yeah.
He's been with Nolan Richardson, since he was, playing back in the days, and they went to an NIT and won a championship. That was in the early days. Where was he at? Was he at Temple? No, where was Nolan at? I can't remember where Nolan was at, but it was early, and he played for him. So he understands what they need to do, and that just keep applying. He said it in the huddle. He said, just to keep applying the pressure, they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
There's no team you're going to beat unless you dominate the other aspects of the game, which is winning the 50-50 balls, winning the rebound game, winning the defensive game, and getting easy buckets by shooting 29% and 50% from the free throw line and a dismal 19% from three. You shoot 27 threes and you can't hit the bottom of a well. That's you're not going to do very well at home, let alone on the road.
Yeah,
in a hostile environment. So that's something that's disappointing.
Well, in Nebraska, I think too, like you said, they don't have a go-to guy. I mean, I think that was pretty obvious. I think Griesel hopefully will take over that role. I think, like you said, maybe just even backing down guys in the post, trying the best way to get a look.
They have to have a relief pressure set.
Yeah,
like kind of like like not the Cowboys, but the Bulls used to do back in the day. You remember they ran that triangle for a reason. They didn't have to rely on Harper to bring it up. They didn't have to rely on Scotty. They relieve pressure. If you pressure them too hard, they run a little backdoor cut. The weak side forward comes up to about the elbow, catches the ball, or comes to the 3-point line, and you backdoor. They have to have some form of a relief, because it just seems like they struggled when it came to one-on-one and relieving pressure.
Yeah, and again, with those guards, and you're going to see this once you get into that level of play. Of course, the Big East, same as the Power Five, as we like to call it in football. But the Big East, a major conference. When Nebraska gets to the Big Ten, do you think that they, like Deion said, that they're exposed, and this is definitely something everybody's going to check out on tape, or do you think this was just a bad game?
It is, but they're going to see more of it now.
Yeah.
Until you figure out, and again, they have to get in practice. This next, if I'm them and I'm watching this film, the next practice, they've got to get to putting bodies on people. It's like they got way too comfortable just running past people, or these little half-hearted screens. Even the big man, it was just a bunch of air that they were hitting, and you can't do that with pressure. You've got to create space one way or the other. Either with the handle, i.e. your Steph Curry's, i.e. your Kyrie Irving's, the way that guys can break guys down off the dribble, create space, get into the paint, and then alleviate the pressure, or you need to put bodies on people in a motion game, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, it was a rough watch. Certainly the second half. The first half, obviously, a little bit better. And I was just seeing this because I was looking at the turnover numbers. Sam Griesel did end up with 8 turnovers today.
Yeah.
He was a bit careless with the ball. Sometimes, there was one particular play I remember trying to get it to Keita, which what's the benefit of getting it to Keita at the top of the the screen? Anyway, he's somebody I kind of hold my breath with at this point if he's going to turn the ball over. And he's developing. It's nothing, he's a young sophomore. We'll see him kind of adjust to that. And maybe that was part of what's kind of missing in Derek Walker. You don't hold your breath if Derek Walker's got it at the top of the key.
Yeah.
But I thought that, there was certainly moments where Griesel, he's a good point guard. He's already kind of proven at that level. But just kind of forcing it a little bit today. And then the other thing is just, there's certain matchups he's going to look the part, and then other matchups that the defensive guys a little bit quicker than you and a little quicker than he was. And I think that was the case tonight. It's going to be a struggle for Nebraska bringing the ball up. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break here. We'll go through some of the numbers and talk more about what went right for Nebraska in the first half, at least. We'll do that coming up next here on the Hoops Postgame Show, brought to you by Action Heating, Electrical, Air, and I think there's another one. Plumbing. It's been a while. This is our first our post game show in a while, so I've got to brush up on that too. But thanks to Action once again, I'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more Hoops post game show coming up next year. Nebraska falls to St. John's 70-50. We'll be right back here at 93.7 The Ticket.
Don't let high interest rates get you down. Acres has you covered. For a limited time, Acres, the nation's largest combine dealer, is giving you 2% fixed rate financing for 60 months on select used combines. With this incredible offer, you could save thousands. Visit your local Acres location or acres.com to check out the widest selection of low-hour, late-model combines available. Don't wait. The great deal runs out at the end of November. Subject to finance approval. Some restrictions apply. Offer ends November 30th, 2022.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
The Heartland Diamond from Sartor Heyman Jewelers was born from an unrelenting desire for more sparkle, designed to shine as bright as your love. The difference between it and the traditional cut is clearly visible with the naked eye. By adding 32 additional facets, our skilled craftsmen have created a masterpiece, a diamond that truly reflects your passion and desire. Stop in and see the brilliance of the Heartland Diamond for yourself, exclusively at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Bliker with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bliker with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the the basketball postgame show, Hoops postgame show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We will have DP on our shows throughout the year, but still maybe we'll wait and see. Maybe he's a little bit busy tonight. Nebraska ends up losing to St. John's, the Red Storm, 70-50. This despite a 27-20 first half lead. What Strick did you see that went right in the first half as opposed to what kind of broke down the second half?
Everything I said.
Yeah.
That they didn't do the second. We taught it the reverse.
They were doing it in the first half.
Doing it in the first half. They were putting bodies on people. They were defending. They were making sure they were checking. They were running for opportunities.
Diving on
they
the
were
floor.
getting on the floor. They were getting hands in passing lanes. They shot, as you said, 0 for 10. It was because they were challenging shot. They were communicating. There was understanding of where rotations were. I don't know if they got tired. I don't know if they were, gassed because they started like we used to see last year, 2 people running at one guy. Boom, a one guy leaves open. There's a wide open shot. Most guys in college basketball that's worth their salt with this team shoots as collectively as a team 42%.
Yeah.
Didn't shoot that tonight, but
Second half,
they're capable
yeah.
in 3 games. They've done that. So you started seeing a lot of that in the second half. You saw a lot more standing around. You saw a lot more non-movement. Like this is not a team that I saw that's a stagnant 5-out, no move team. If you don't, guys, I said you don't have those guys that can break you down. That's not your offense. Your offense is movement, cutting, slashing, all of those different things. In the second half, they didn't do that.
Did you see a whole lot of set plays? I think somebody, Brian was kind of saying off of YouTube, they didn't seem to run a whole lot of set plays, and it was because they were kind of breaking down the pressure, had odd numbers there. In the first half, they could, it still wasn't the prettiest of things. Nebraska's offense struggled to score quite a bit early on in that first half, too. It was just kind of the ugliness of the defense. That's kind of Nebraska's going to be Nebraska's way. So you felt it was going their pace. But just couldn't get anything going in that second half. And again, maybe it relied on Tom Naka banked three, kind of got him going. He had 15 tonight to kind of lead the way. We'll run through each player and kind of break through what they did.
He's the best thing to happen for him.
Yeah, he was. But overall, again, this is going to be a team that struggles shooting, I think. And you're going to have nights where you need Wilcher and Tamanaga, clearly your two best shooters, to put the bucket. Put the ball in the bucket, and it's just not going to happen every night. So they're going to have to find ways to overcome that at times. All right, let's run through each player and the kind of stats here, and we assess it. Strick will have you assess their game here. Blaze Keita, 0 for 3 from the floor, 0 for 3 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 fouls, which kind of kept him out of the game for a certain amount of time. What did you see from Blaze tonight?
He looked unathletic. He looked slow-footed. He looked that he didn't have the leaping. Soriano looked like if Keita at that point looked like Soriano in reverse, there's a different story. That's what they would hope to have gotten from him. You either got to get that from him or Gary, or Walker. But if you don't get that type of intensity, the way that he handled himself on both sides of the ball, 18 boards, my guy. Like, that's serious. That's work. And
Soriano with 18. Wow.
18 boards. That's work. He had 12 in the first half. He was working. And that's what kind of kept them going in the game. So we need that.
Well, let's stay with the big guys. This guy came off the bench, but Wilhelm Breidenbach struggled, especially from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
1 of 8, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds in his own right. Did get a block and ended up with 2 points. He doesn't. He had that injury. I don't know if he's not all the way back or maybe just kind of getting back into it. Do you want him shooting those open threes? Because they are wide open.
He's capable.
Yeah.
But he's a capable shooter. It doesn't look good right now. I knew a couple of them when he released it, it didn't look like it had a chance. So, he's capable.
Yeah.
I don't mind him taking that, but they need to work with pads or something because they were physical inside with bodies. When we did that to them early, it was effective, but they did it to us in a whole new way. And we couldn't make layups and finish, or it was kind of just weird for me. It was weird for me that second half.
But offense was completely shut down.
Yeah, it was non-existent.
Let's go with Juwan Gary, 4 of 14, 0 for 5 from 3, 11 rebounds total, 3 steals. And
I like 11
points.
Rebounds. I like 11 rebounds. See, that's the thing I like. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like him shooting 5 threes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a strength for him.
And they're usually kind of forced.
Yes, at least I would say at least 3 of them minimum, if not 4, were you're not that guy.
Yeah.
You're not that kind of a pure shooter to where guys flying at you, running at you. That should be a shot fake. Get into the paint. But here's the thing, Bach. Here's the thing. It's going back to that thing we've talked about often in last year's postgame. Guys are either 3-point shooters or to the rack shooters when there's guys like Soriano in there.
Oh, yeah.
No, you have to be mid-range. Like, your game plan's got to say, yes, good shot fake. Yes, they're running all over the place. I'm either shot faking this, getting into a certain spot. If no one comes, that's mid-range. They go the extra mile or the extra step which is a step too many, which closes the distance between the big guy and allows him to be able to challenge, redirect, or make you to change your shot. They've got to just either make that mid-range shot or make the next pass, because that's what's getting them in trouble.
Yeah, 7 blocks from St. John's tonight. So Nebraska kind of shied away at times from going to the hole. I will say this about Gary too. He seems to be somebody that could score on the block as well.
Yeah.
So that might be something they can go to if they're go through a scoring drought. Vanderbilt, like I said, very much struggled, especially with Curbelo on him. 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc. Did have 9 rebounds, 3 assists, but also 3 turnovers, finishing with 5 points tonight. Much to say about there, other than I just felt like he looked, especially just dribbling, struggling tonight.
Yeah. Just truly did. Just the pressure was there for them all day. Yeah.
CJ Wilcher, 2 of 8, 1 of 6 from beyond the field or beyond the arc, 1 of 1 from the free throw line.
Who are we talking about?
Wilcher.
Okay.
Had a lot of other ones, assist, a steal, all those other things, but his mark is always made beyond the arc. And at times he could do a little bit more, but just
there were some forcers. There were some forcers on that. And I think that was part of the game plan. I think that was part of St. John's game plan. We're not giving them any open looks or any 3 looks. We're going to make them either. I think he's basically saying we're going to make them ball handlers tonight. We're going to either make them create space on their own, be able to penetrate and find ways to score, but we're not going to allow them to just set and shoot or do anything easy. And they were not going to make anything easy.
Well, and 2, if you're scouting this Nebraska team, like I said, it's pretty obvious Wilcher and Tominaga are the leaders beyond the arc. Not a very good shooting team. We'll see how it plays out. I'm guessing not a great shooting team. Haven't been under Fred Hoiberg. So if you're scouting this team, blanket those 2, and then the Nebraska probably won't have a great shooting night from beyond the arc. Sam Griesel, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, finishes with 6 points, 8 turnovers, 4 assists, a steal, and 4 rebounds as well. But does he have to be just a little bit more aggressive? Only 4 shots put up.
There wasn't a lot of presented opportunities. Like you said, they didn't run. You didn't really see much sets. Yeah. You saw just a lot of open court and penetration and kicks, and we didn't see a lot of set action. And those opportunities must present themselves, because they're not going to present themselves in the press, because they're not that breakdown type of guys. Myself, I would break down the defense and I'd get to the mid range, and I'm going to make you come out of your zone, and then I'm going to hit about 2 or 3 of that mid-range. Then that big man is going to have to take 1 or 2 steps up, and then I'm going to get back to that mid-range. I'm going to drop it off to a center. Yeah. It's got to be a progression. For us, it's all or nothing. It's basket to the rim or it's shoot the 3. It's got to be a progression to make the defense adjust, to make changes. And if Griesel can't, which he did a couple instances, but he made pass. Sometimes you got to say, is like, if I get to this spot right here and there's nobody in front of me, nobody steps up to me, I'm knocking that down.
That's my spot. Yeah. I think we're going to see that too. And with the this kind of a general basketball question, with such a disparity between the first half and the second half, we always talk about halftime adjustments for football, where in basketball, you think that's kind of more ongoing, on the fly as the game goes on. Is halftime adjustments a big part of basketball?
Absolutely. And you can see it. It was like the energy or the volume was turned up. Mm-hmm. St. John's did that.
Oh yeah.
We didn't match it. And you see the difference in that. It was like at one point, almost at the halfway mark, it was a I think 24-6 scoring run.
Oh, difference. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. When you're up 7.
Yeah.
Going in, that's crazy. You cannot have those type of droughts. You've got to do something. You've got to say, I'm putting this guy on the post, or I'm getting to this spot. Whatever it is, you've got to get to your strength at that point. And that's what's been, I think's been exposed. They don't really have a strength.
Right. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And hopefully this will come about. This is a team that's, this is their first major test.
Yeah. And that's so I'm not overly, because it's good, because that's good film work. This is good stuff to kind of take into account.
Yeah.
Bach, to look at,
learn
to
who
evaluate
you are yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And then understand, like they said, there's no way they can duplicate that type of pressure in practice. You just can't do it. So it's better to see it and then understand it, grow from it, and then come back next time when somebody else bring it. Because please believe me, it's coming.
Yeah.
It may be from Creighton. It may be from Memphis. It may be from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to bring it. Somebody's going to bring it.
I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break here. We will talk about the upcoming schedule, look at the team stats, give our final thoughts for Nebraska's 70-50 loss to St. John's today. This is the Basketball Hoops post-game show on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the KNTKM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Had to know that when Wingstop set out to make a crispy, juicy chicken sandwich, they wouldn't make it in just one flavor. They'd make it in all 12, like lemon pepper, mango habanero, hickory smoked barbecue, and OG hot. So why have one new favorite chicken sandwich when you can have 12? Try the new sauced and tossed Wingstop chicken sandwich today for only $5.49 at Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings. Valid for a limited time and available at participating Wingstop locations only while supplies last. Price subject to applicable taxes and fees.
Join us on Friday from 4 to 6 at Bourbon Street as we get you ready for Saturday's game. Old School with Jay Foreman and DP goes from 4 to 6. Stop by for some of the best drinks and Cajun food in town at Bourbon Street at 8th and Q.
They might win, they might lose, but either way, you have something to say about it. Don't miss the Husker After Party postgame show immediately following every Nebraska football game. Nick Sainert and Jake Bachhoven give instant reaction, quotes from the players and coaches, and take all your phone calls with thoughts on the game. It's the Husker After Party postgame show, only on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sponsored by Action Plumbing and Heating, Gary Michaels Quilliers, and Brant Excavate. You already know what your New Year's resolution is going to be. Get fit, lose weight, build muscle. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Get the new year started off right with the Farrell's 10-week challenge. And this Black Friday, you can get in with the best price of the year. Join the Winter 10-week challenge for just $199. That's over half off the regular price. Head to fxblincoln.com to sign up to be reminded when the sale goes live and to get exclusive early access. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill, or now at their brand new location at 70th and Vine.
At Koppel Chevrolet GMC, we are thankful for so many things this year, starting with our great employees, a generous community, our military personnel, and most importantly, our loyal customer base that continues to drive that money-saving mile of Louisville. Hi, this is Sean Callahan, and on behalf of everybody at Koppel, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels to wherever they may take you. Happy holidays from Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 9th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to the Tickets Basketball postgame show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Hoops Post Game Show. Happy to be back for another year of Nebraska basketball. Unfortunately, we're not celebrating tonight because Nebraska lost 70-50 in a game, a tough game to St. John's, a game that Nebraska felt like they had control of throughout the first half, but just could not get anything going in the second half. In fact, they were outscored 50-23 in the second half. That's not going to win a whole lot of games. Let's go through some team stats to kind of also tell the story of this game. Nebraska didn't win too many categories here. So field goal percentage, Nebraska 19 of 64 from the field. That's good for 29.7 on the field goal percentage reading. St. John shoots 39% from the floor, 29 of 74. 3-point line, Nebraska 5 of 27. That's 18.5%. St. John's 5 of 21 after going 0 for 10 in the first half, so 5 of 11 in the second half. So they're about at 24% there. Free throws, each team needs to work on that. 7 of 14 from the floor, 50%. Nebraska specifically in the first half could have hit a few more free throws and had a bigger lead. Weren't able to do that. St. John's wins the rebounding battle tonight, 52-46. That include 21 offensive rebounds for St. John's, 18 offensive rebounds for Nebraska. So that's actually a pretty bright spot if you're looking at that. Assists tonight, 14 for St. John's, 9 for Nebraska, 10 steals for St. John's, 5 for Nebraska, 7 blocks for St. John's, 2 for Nebraska. And then Nebraska beat them in a category. Oh, that's a category they don't want to beat them. 17 turnovers. 13 for St. John's. Again, the tale of two halves there. 10 first half turnovers for St. John's, just 3 in the second half. And St. John's goes away and runs away with this game. What are your kind of final thoughts as you kind of take a step back away from this game here?
I would say just final thoughts is they've got to go back to the drawing board and really hone in on playing a complete game of doing what they do defensively. No matter what they do, if they falter or they struggle on the offensive side of things, look at St. John's. St. John's didn't have that great of an offensive night, but they did it on the defensive side of things. You can still win games on the defensive side of things. They need to make sure that they put bodies on people, whether it be on offensive, defensive rebounds, as well as in screens. They need to do that because they're going to need to be able to create space by way of putting bodies on people.
Do you think you have an idea? Like I heard you say this kind of earlier. Do you think you would have an idea and a lean on what you would go would be the strength of this team? Because it's hard. I mean, it might be defense, but it's hard to say that after giving up a 50-point half.
I think it's just the versatility, the abilities to play different, lineups and moves. I think it's the ability to be able to take advantage of smaller guards. I just didn't see it until
too late.
It's freaking late. I mean, this is one of the teams where here's what I will say. Where was a team back when I played in the NBA that used to do something? They would run sets and they would set you to death. And I mean, they would run the exact same play until, even if you stopped it one time, they would still come right back to it and run the freaking same play until you multiple times stop that play. That was the Utah Jazz back when Stockton and Malone, they would run the play to death. And if I'm Nebraska, I would figure out something. If I'm getting something that I like, I would run it in the ground until they stop it, and then find the next thing. That's what I would do. It just seemed like there was no continuity. It was helter-skelter. It was second half. It was helter-skelter. There was just guys standing outside trying to create space, get ripped, go down, they get a dunk and, turnover. Then they go down and hit a three and, then no rebounds. They 3 rebound you and then put it back in. It was like, God dang, will it be something? So I think that's one of the things they might want to look at, man. Just getting something. And if they're getting the looks that they want, run that. You don't need to run something else just because. Run that thing until it run it in the ground. If you're getting good looks.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I got 2 more kind of questions coming out of that too. Does it take, I mean, especially when you're a ball handler like Bandamel, like Griesel, do you have to kind of swallow your ego a little bit and start to do the old man kind of put your butt to the defender and protect the ball a little bit more? I mean, you're not on the attack there, but
they try to.
Yeah.
And, this is the thing that I think they don't have as guards. They don't have change of pace. Right. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one flow to it. There's not a stop, go, speed, stop, then speed again. There's not a lot of changes of pace. It's pretty much that's why a lot of defenses can kind of go with them, because all there is a change of direction, not necessarily a change of pace. If you change direction, good feet, good strength, good defensive work can stay with you. You had to be able to change pace And that's what helps you to get and create space.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see if Nebraska can make the adjustments again. I don't think it's time to sound the alarms. It's not a game that Nebraska necessarily was supposed to win, but it is a game that you felt like they might have won at halftime. And so I think that's where a lot of fans pretty much got to getting upset on Twitter, which, by the way, Twitter's having its own problems tonight. Sounds like I don't know if how well Twitter is going to be tomorrow morning. We'll kind of see how that's going. That's a story for a different day. As we look ahead for the schedule for Nebraska, as we mentioned, it's not an easy one this year. So they have Arkansas Pine Bluff back at home this Sunday. Then they return on Thanksgiving to Oklahoma. They welcome Oklahoma in. So at least they're at home the next couple games. And then
no. Remember, that's when they go to Orlando.
Oh, that's the Orlando game.
That's the Orlando tournament that they're playing, where they might see Seton Hall, which is another East Coast style, Big East type ball team. And then Memphis is, just super athletic. So that's going to be another test for them.
Okay, that's why, and that game's on ESPN. So I forgot about the tournament there. They have Boston College on the 30th, and then they have Creighton at Creighton on the 4th, and then the little Big Ten play. Remember, they do Big Ten play a couple games before your remaining non-con schedule. But it's just it's one of those schedules that's interesting, because I thought with this team, and maybe just where they've been all together, you might be better served, and fans certainly aren't, but you need some wins. They might have been better served to have kind of a weaker schedule. Do you think not in the non-con?
I mean, their RPI is right now in the top 10, so they've got a strong schedule, and this can do one of two things for you. It can either make you stronger, or it can make you cower.
Yeah,
that's the thing about a tough schedule, and sometimes that's why mid-major teams do well, because sometimes they'll play a really tough schedule up front. They'll get into their conference, they'll run their conference because they've had such great competition. This could prepare them. I mean, it could prepare them for the Big Ten. That way, when they get into a Big Ten situation where they're seeing a lot of the same stuff, it may not bother you as much, and that's what you can only hope for with a tough non-con schedule.
Real quick, too, I want to pay off you guys for listening, so we'll get to your comments here. Byron says, Wilhelm isn't the answer at 5. Need more O-leg until Walker comes back. Would you consider that, or do you think Wilhelm just kind of had a bad game tonight?
I just think that the speed of the game, I mean, you got to remember, this is his first year, because he didn't, what happened to him last year with a major injury happened early in the season. So this really his first year at this type of speed that he's able to see. I mean, like I say, you can duplicate it as much as you can in practice. You know what you're doing in your off season. We don't know where you're playing, what type of ball you're playing, and who you're playing against. And then you get into a knockdown, drag out fight against the St. John's team that is coming down your neck. Then that's something that's different. And so it's going to take time for Breidenbach. He's got to just get used to the speed, quickness, the hands, the physicalness of the game.
The Milkman says they look lost in the second half. Wet Blanket says Tulsa, 1980. So he's reaching back to the Mike Anderson.
Oh, it was Tulsa.
Nolan Richards.
Yeah.
There.
Tulsa.
So, that's kind of interesting. And
Good call. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And then we have, let's see these comments here. Joel says, hopefully they can get things figured out, because it doesn't get any easier, as we were talking about with the schedule there. Brian says, if Griesel doesn't transfer here, don't know how we would get the ball down court this year, or at least in that game. That would be certainly interesting. Also asking, you're telling me Lloyd can't play. We need ball handlers. There's a couple of comments here asking about Ramel Lloyd, who is redshirting this year. So, maybe
that could have been a good game for him. I mean, obviously he's a freshman. I mean, but that is the area that they struggle. They lack in just pure ball handling abilities at the position. And so that's why I say they maybe need to add, some press or pressure alleviating type of movements or something to kind of help to get them into their sets without they started their sets way too far out in some of their stuff. They were way out by the half court line starting some of their stuff. You got to get that guy, get him down to where you need to get him, drive him down, back it back out. You got to be able to do that. And that's why I talked about just putting the butt on somebody's not going to do that. You got to be able to drive them down to your spot wherever you need to go.
One fun as we were kind of talking about Lloyd there.
Yes, dog paw. Yes, he is.
Well,
Yes,
someone
he
had-
is.
yeah, dog paw saying he's not a
Sorry,
true
sir.
point guard.
He is a point guard. He played the point guard position at one of the, toughest high schools in the country, and that's to include he was the point guard while Bronny James actually came off the bench and he was a 2 guard. So no, yes, he is a point guard. Sorry about that, sir.
And one more note there, we haven't talked about Denham Dawson. I thought he gave him some good energy. Didn't hit his free throws, but maybe that's a guy I think will develop.
Took some bad shots because that's not his strength.
Yeah.
There was a few bad shots that he took. That's not his strength, but they just seemed like their energy began to wane. They didn't seem to match the energy that St. John's brought to him in the second half. But yes, he did come to play and scrappy, but just wasn't able to hit some shots.
I just thought it was worth mentioning. Tamanaga also, we mentioned 15 points off the bench, leading Nebraska tonight, but not leading them to victory as St. John's wins 70-50. Guys, we'll be here all season long. Maybe not every game, but most games will be here for the Hoops post-game show on 93.7 The Ticket. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Of course, we've got our great show lineup coming up tomorrow, starting as early as 6 a.m. I'm sure everybody will be talking a little bit of basketball to blend into the football with, of course, Wisconsin coming to town to play Senior Day at Memorial Stadium, too. So lots of great stuff here coming up on The Ticket. Lots of great basketball games to run down for the rest of the basketball season and hopefully some victories. Thanks, Strick, once again for sticking around and helping us get through this. And thanks to you guys for listening. Go enjoy some football tonight, Thursday night football, or whatever you may be doing. We'll see you tomorrow.